Well, hello! How's everybody doing today? Well, want to start this on Domingo. You know, this is March 15th, okay? It's also hot today, okay? For me it is. It's 92 today. According to Dallas Rains, our local weatherman here on ABC, he says that it broke the record. That the record was 88, that 92 breaks that record. At least as long as they've been keeping records. But being that this is March 15th, this close to St. Patrick's Day, I figured I would do some St. Patrick's or some Irish songs. Or at least songs that derive from an Irish medley. Okay? Or Irish melody, I should say. Like this one I'm getting ready to start off with, The Girl I Left Behind Me. This song, the melody of the song is dated back over 200 years ago. This song's gone through a lot of different transformations, even been called different things. As a matter of fact, you know, the fife and the drummer and the flag, as you see them for the Patriots, that was not Yankee Doodle that they played. It was the melody for The Girl I Left Behind Me. It's I was reading some history about it. During the Civil War, they had different lyrics for each side. This song has gone through a lot of different transformations. In 1949, 1950, Leroy Anderson got his hands on it, and it's part of a whole suite. What I'm going to do for you today is where the cowboy music got their hands on it. Okay? Singing cowboy music. Irish lyric or Irish melody. The Girl I Left Behind Me. Here we go. I struck the trail in 79. The hearse struck out behind me. I jogged along my went back to the girl I left behind me. That sweet little girl, that true little girl, the girl I left behind me. Sweet little girl, that true little girl, the girl I left behind me. Yodelay-doo, yodeloo-dee, yodeloo-dee, yodeloo-dee. If I ever get off the trail, the Indians, they don't find me. I go right back where I belong, to the girl I left behind me. That sweet little girl, that true little girl, the girl I left behind me. Sweet little girl, that true little girl, the girl I left behind me. The wind did blow, the rain did flow, the fell did fall and blind me. I thought of her, that sweet little girl, the girl I left behind me. That sweet little girl, that true little girl, the girl I left behind me. Sweet little girl, that true little girl, the girl I left behind me. Yodelay-doo, yodeloo-dee, yodeloo-dee, yodeloo-dee. When we sold out, I took the train. I knew where I could find her. I got right back and I had a smack, and I'm no cold darn liar. That sweet little girl, that true little girl, the girl I left behind me. Sweet little girl, that true little girl, the girl I left behind me. That sweet little girl, that true little girl, the girl I left behind me. Sweet little girl, that true little girl, the girl I left behind me. Yodelay-doo, yodeloo-dee, yodeloo-dee, yodeloo-dee. Yodelay-doo, yodeloo-dee, yodeloo-dee, yodeloo-dee. There you go. The Girl I Left Behind Me. As a matter of fact, you guys would see that in Elden the Singing Cowboy playlist, where I did it up in the mountains up there, okay? If you guys notice, I got my green Irish derby up here behind me. It's just a little bit too hot for me to be wearing it today. Of course, I know half of you out there are like, nah, you don't want to mess up your hairdo. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on. Now I'm going to take you guys into the book here of one of my favorites. I always remember hearing, we've all seen Looney Tune cartoons, okay? And every time we see those Looney Tune cartoons, it's always neat because they always seem to bring music up from the past and educate us kids as we're growing up. My favorite one, I've seen a lot of different skits of this song where they play the wrong note. My favorite one is with Yosemite Sam and Bugs Bunny, where Yosemite Sam asks him if he could play a piano. And Bugs says, yeah, I can play a piano. And he sits there and he says, can you play those endearing young charms? He goes, yes, I can play those endearing young charms. He goes, then play it. Sits there and works on the piano. Sits there and works on the piano and hooks up a little explosive device. Excuse me. And Bugs keeps playing the song and he plays the wrong note because he knows there's an explosive device on that note. On he doesn't want to hit the right note. Here's Yosemite saying, ooh, you mangy rabbit, try it again. Until he tells him to get out of the way, he plays it right. Obviously. Pressing the right key and blowing up. They won't show that today because they say that that's too cruel and too mean for us kids. Or for our kids. You know what? I turned out okay. At least as far as I know. And so did everybody else I've ever known that's watched it. Here we go. Believe me of all those endearing young charms. Believe me of all those endearing young charms which I gaze are so fondly today. Were to change by tomorrow and flee from my arms like the fairy gifts fading away, thou would still be adored as this moment thou art. Let thy loveliness fade as it will, and around the dear ruin each wish of my heart would entwine itself burdenly still. Believe me of all those endearing young charms which I gaze are so fondly today, were to change by tomorrow and flee from my arms like the fairy gifts fading away, thou would still be adored at this moment thou art. Let thy loveliness fade as it will, and around the dear ruin each wish of my heart would entwine itself burdenly still. There you go. Believe me of all those endearing young charms. Pretty neat little song there. Okay, let me see my list here where we're going. Oh, yes. Here we go. Now we're going to go on to one that my mother wrote. My mother wrote an Irish poem. Now I have it recorded with my voice, and I'm going to play the music. Here we go. Okay? Just give me one moment, get it set up, and I'll have it for you. Here we go. At sunrise, young Owen Denby strolled into his office. He was a brother, a banker, and a scholar too. Every morning he sipped a cup of black coffee and scanned a newspaper with his black button eyes. They were the color of tar like dew. His rainbow shirts harmonized with the sunsets at night. Sometimes he felt like a silhouette when he stepped out of sight. Young Owen Denby wore a pair of old blue jeans. He didn't know it,
but his wife packed him a bowl of hot chili beans. Sometimes he felt like an old worn-out shoe, and he never used this verse, "How do you do?" He had very few friends, and there wasn't anyone new. Owen reached for the phone, but there was no tone. So he made a big fuss, seeing he was an ornery old cuss. Young Owen Denby felt like a worn-out shoe, but there was nobody new. He reached for the phone, but there was no tone. He made a big fuss and yelled, "I'm an ornery old cuss!" His rainbow shirts harmonized with the sunset at night. Sometimes he felt like a silhouette when he stepped out of sight. Young Owen Denby was nobody's fool, but he felt like a silhouette when he stepped out of sight. When he stepped out of sight. When he stepped out of sight.
There you go. My mom wrote that in February of '04, okay? I told her a while back, I said, you know what? I said, send me some of your poems. And I said, let's see if we can make some music out of them. Well, that one, some of her poems I took and I arranged stuff so it would make a song. That was one that I did not change anything to. I just read it straight off the page with the best Irish accent I can. Had to tap into my Irish roots way back and get the best I could out of it. And my wife says it doesn't sound Irish at all, but that's okay. I hope you guys are enjoying this week's concert. Uno momento, one moment, I'll be on set too. So hold on to your hats and glasses, the glasses of whatever it is you're drinking, to cheer St. Patrick's Day. And as time goes on through the concert, I'll share a little bit tidbit as we go along. Here we go. One moment.